So this is my recording. I hit that button. Um, Welcome you guys to another amazing empowerment night. We are in our first week of empowerment sessions and we are having the best time. We have talked about vision boards, we have talked about how to advocate for yourself, and we have talked about activity-based therapy. Tonight, we're going to switch up the vibe a little bit and we are going to talk about finding community. Now, before we get started, first, I want to thank all of you guys for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to not only support Wheel with Me Foundation, but to pour into yourselves as well. This night isn't just about me and the foundation, it's about you guys and finding community and independence and all the tips that you need to live the best, fullest life that you can. So thank you guys for showing up for yourselves tonight. And I also want to thank our presenter for donating her time. So as a lot of you guys may know, our presenters do this on a volunteer basis. They don't get compensated or paid. They are here out of the kindness of their hearts, just sharing their experiences, their skills, tips, tricks, and their love for the community with us. So I'm just very grateful because this would not be possible without amazing speakers like Gretchen just kind of pouring into the community. Um, and I'm excited that it is kind of a small group because I think all of the ladies here are the same. Every single one of you guys have donated your time, energy, and expertise to Wield Me Foundation. So I am so blessed for every one of you guys on this screen. Um, I am going to pass it over to Gretchen. So now, since it is just an intimate little group of us, I will give Gretchen the sharing capabilities here. So,
Mhm.
Gretchen, you are allowed to share whenever you are ready, and you're welcome to take it off.
Okay, yay, let me see. Okay, let me share and see if you guys can see my screen here. I think, can you guys see that? Okay. Okay, well, great. I have some notes. So if you see me peering over to my right side, that's what I'll be doing. And of course, I have everything on my table right now. So it is a little bit difficult here, but I have it on my iPad. So I'm going to take some notes. Today is going to be pretty casual. And because I feel like community is such an important topic to talk about, but I also believe that community is collaboration. So if you guys want to chime in or just feel free to put it in the chat as well. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. So hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you to Bree and the Wheel With Me Foundation for allowing me to share something that I'm very passionate about. Today's conversation will be super casual. I was thinking about how I wanted to present on this topic. And to me, like I said, community is all about collaboration and connection. I'll share a little bit about my own journey finding community, but also ways we can continue to create and foster community in our own lives. And feel free, like I said, chime in the chat, however you feel comfortable. You can remove yourself from mute and chime in with your thoughts and comments. And I want it to be as interactive or as comfortable as you feel to share. Let me see if I can, there we go. A little bit about me. So my name is Gretchen D'Souza. I'm 33 years old and I live in California, specifically in the Central Valley, Fresno. And for those of you not from California, that's about 3.5 hours from San Francisco and 4 hours from LA. So right in the middle, really. Um, and I was injured in 2014 by a drunk driver while traveling for family vacation. I have an incomplete spinal cord injury at the C5, C6 level, and I just celebrated my 10-year life day this past December and still can't believe it's been really that long. My hobbies include traveling, romance books, reading romance, reality TV, watching documentaries, advocacy and volunteering, as well as trying new things. And my latest obsession is adaptive recreation. So um, I wanted to start this conversation about my own path to finding community, as we all have probably experienced with our injuries or our diagnoses or traumatic life experiences, or even just loss in any way. It's really common and natural for all of us to go through like this grieving process and the stages of grief. And, most of you probably know the stages of grief as being denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And it's not really that linear. Um, we tend to lose our self-identity, our confidence. We lose friends, family along the process, our jobs, and everything is just kind of up in the air after injury. And we're learning ourselves again, right? We're trying to heal, we're trying to survive and strive for what we lost all at the same time. Um, and this can be like a really lonely experience for many, and that's where I found the importance of community. Throughout the 10 years, I realized these stages of grief never like really go away completely. And anything with a lifelong injury, you're constantly battling that, but we get stronger, right? We adapt, we learn to cope, and we learn and we find our people along that way. And that's like the most important thing that I've noticed and what I've experienced throughout these 10 years. So let me see. This little graph, sorry. I'm very blessed to have had family and friends that supported me and stuck by me for the last 10 years, but I was never really seeking community in the early part of my injury because of that. Like I created this graph kind of my own journey, but as we're going through this, you guys can probably plug your own journey into this graph as well. When I was first injured, I was there was initial shock, but there was also a denial that was covered up because it was just chaos in the hospital, you were medicated, you had a bunch of different things happening. You had so many people running around you, doctors, nurses, residents, who even knows what was happening? I don't even remember. It was so crazy during that time. And so it's kind of like that shock and denial was kind of disguised. And that led through that first 5 weeks of inpatient rehab. It was like constantly going to PT, to OT, to learning how to try to do new things. And so everything was just kind of disguised at that point for me. At the 1 to 2 year mark, it was still like I got home and I was still trying to find my own independence and I was trying to figure out how to live life again and trying to learn how to feed myself and bathe myself. And I was still needing constant help and attention. And so like I really wasn't looking to like go find community right away for myself. And I think that's kind of where I wish I would have found community sooner because I didn't realize how much I needed it then. At the 3 to 5 year mark, that's where I started going back to school and trying to reintegrate into society fully as like someone that gained a little bit more independence and was ready to go out and like do more things. But that's where I really found all these emotions and all these stages of grief kind of hit me, but in different waves. So it wasn't every single one of these denial, anger, bargaining, depression, um, all at once or all linear. It was kind of like anger at first that I couldn't do things. And then it was like, oh, I feel really sad or like not completely clinically depressed or anything like that. But it was at that time that all of these emotions started coming up. And I was kind of like, I don't know how to deal with all of this. And so at the 5 year mark and afterwards, it was really, I think, year 6 is when I started adaptive driving. And that's kind of where I got out into the world without anybody else. And that's where I felt like, wow, there's so many people out here. Um, and that kind of gave me the freedom to find community in a way that like I never experienced or had ever thought about before. So this is kind of like a graph I just created of my own journey, but I'm still in that process. I'm still trying to find it. And that's why I kind of titled it Building and Rebuilding, because throughout these different stages, I found community, but I lost community and I found community again. And so it's just dependent on the stage that you're at, right? Um, and then I think also it wasn't until I realized that my life trajectory became different than the people around me. So, like, I have aging parents and friends starting their careers, getting married. having children, like our priorities were now different, and I felt like I was falling behind a little bit, and I was craving connection with people I could like once again relate to. That was the importance of finding community for me, like finding people that knew what I was going through. And then when I finally met people with similar journeys, is when I realized that I was not alone. And us as humans, we all crave that sense of belonging. Okay. And then this is a picture from maybe 1 or 2 years into my injury where we had our hospital support groups on the left-hand side take us out to um, I think it was the zoo. And that was the first time I really met anybody else out in public post-injury. Tanya?
We're just seeing, we're not seeing your screen, we're just seeing you.
Oh,
I can see her
shoot.
screen.
Oh, you can? Oh, maybe
Oh,
it's my view. I'm sorry.
Um,
oh, okay. I was like, whoops.
there's a thing that says Gretchen Desoa screen. Did you guys click on that at all?
I can see your screen.
Can you guys see her presentation and her photos?
Oh,
Lynn?
okay. I saw that. Sorry. Sorry,
Okay.
that's my fault.
No, I had to
Yeah,
switch it on my
user
end too. So.
error.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then on the right-hand side is actually 5 years into injury where I met a lot of people my age because a neuro rehab center, SciFit, Fresno opened up in our area. And so I was able to connect with more women in chairs there. Okay, so why does community matter? So these are the three main things that kind of came up to my mind. Emotional support. It's obviously been scientifically proven this feeling of connectedness is good for both physical and mental health, just like staying active is, right? And so it's kind of like a circle thing. Like if you find community and you're able to stay active and able to stay engaged and speak to people and really connect with each other, it's both mentally and physically beneficial for you in health and longevity. Excuse me. Um, I mean, like, how great is it to vent with someone who just gets it, right? Like, for me, something like I've been really sad lately, or my family hasn't been really supportive, and forgot to take my needs into consideration. Like, just talking to people about things like that. My friends planned something and it wasn't accessible and I wasn't able to go. Like, people just don't get it until they're in that position. And so emotional support is really one of the main things that I needed community for. Um, and I know that we can't replace therapists or professionals in this space, but we can relate, we can listen, and we can encourage our community, right? Being open and vulnerable with people we trust and just get it is so important to me. Practical benefits, I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. I've learned so much from this community in all aspects of my life. I think how to start driving again, how to start traveling, tips and tricks. Um, well, this worked for me. Maybe you can try it. My doctor told me to try this. Like, has this worked for you? Or what's been your experience with this? And so, practical benefits and sharing resources and all of those things is super important as well. In terms of motivation, I think like inspiring individuals or just seeing people do different things has kind of motivated me to try to get out and like do certain things as well. So, oh, hey, want to try mountain biking or hand cycling? You're a quad? No worries, we'll make it happen. Like I've had experiences. Oh, try taking that seatbelt off, try taking off your anti-tip bars. You don't need those armrests. Like I would never think of those things unless someone hadn't told me that during my injury. And then just like hyping each other up, like, girl, you got this. Like, I know you can do it. You don't need that transfer board anymore. I know you can do it. You're just scared, but like, I'm here. Like, let's figure this out together. So hyping people up. Um, putting two chairs in one car. I was like, no way, that's not possible. No, someone was like, no, we're gonna do it. And we did it. You know, um, Motivating each other to try new things. It's like something that's really changed how I live and how I look at life and how much I think I can accomplish. I think having a sense of community really helped me find my confidence. to trust myself, to advocate for myself, and gain more independence throughout the years. Now I'm able to travel alone, to drive again, um, to even put myself out there for dating, to try new things and get out of my comfort zone and really challenge myself to grow as a person as well. So like there's different types of community. These are just some images of some community. And I want to say like I only really found community in maybe the last 2 years or 2.5 years maybe. And so these are just some pictures. And you may recognize some people on here, but I think it's important that you can find community locally, at while you're traveling. Um, Through different organizations or even online. On the left upper hand level, it's a lifted truck, and I was like, there's no way I could get into this truck. But like I worked at it, I had encouragement. My friend was like, no, you're getting in it. And I did it. And I was like, there's no way I would have done that. And so things like that. I think the Triumph Foundation, I remember I had broke the Triumph Foundation in based out of LA. I had a broken freewheel and I just took it over to them and they helped me no problem. And I was like, wow, I would not be able to do this on my own. I got to hand cycle with them. And then here locally, we have a Friendsgiving through our gym. And so like meeting people locally and just being able to hang out with them has been really important each year because a lot of people in our circumstances don't have family and friends. And so this is like who they consider family and friends too, right? Is their community. Live to Roll based out of LA, but has virtual presentations and virtual lives that they do. And so I got to meet them through their YouTube lives. And so having an online presence is just as good if you can't make it out in person. And like I was saying, there's different types of communities. Remember, your community doesn't always have to be disability focused. I know that's our main focus today, but I found some amazing groups and people outside of the disability community that have also embraced me and like included me. I mentioned I'm a big romance reader, and I joined the community by creating my own bookstagram like as a way of initially trying to escape my disabled life at a time. But surprisingly enough, I learned so much about myself and disability through authors and readers and books that were celebrating disabled joy. So like now I advocate for disabled joy representation in romance. I advocate for accessibility and accommodations at book events. And I got to assist my favorite authors at signing conventions last year. And then I also joined a virtual and two local book clubs who make accommodations for me, who are also interested in understanding my experiences. And I even met a wheelchair girly at one of the events and book clubs and now we're friends. So I think like even putting yourself out in a different community, you can also find people or bring people with you into those spaces as well. Um, I think for us with disabilities, probably the online community is probably the easiest and most accessible way to research what's available to us, to join and engage and translate into like an in-person kind of meetup or event. And there's really a community or even multiple out there for everyone. You just got to find it. And then these are just some of those examples is on the left was the author that I met one year at a book signing. And then last year I got to actually assist her with her signing. And then coworkers and health professionals that I got to work with. And then on the in the middle there, one of my good friends was a speaker at our Central California Women's Conference, and so I got to be in her audience and hype her up a little bit, and so that was really great. And then meeting people at the Abilities Expo and at celebrating our community. On the bottom there is like a baby shower for one of our community members, and so just being there for each other in any way that you can is really important too. So with that, I guess this is like my interactive collaboration. segment, but I think how do we find community, right? And this is really a collaborative approach. Um, if you guys want to chime in, go ahead. But I think for me, first ask yourself these questions, right? Like, are you looking for community or friends? And it's funny because someone told me, like, remember that community is not the same as friends all the time, right? But friends can become part of your community. So really try to figure out, like, are you looking for friends? Are you looking for community? Like, what exactly are you looking for? And then what are your needs and what are your interests? Like, what kind of community are you looking for? Are you looking to join an adaptive sports community? Do you want to play wheelchair basketball? Do you want to find people that like to um, go maybe read or part of a book club, like I mentioned? What is your like interest and what kind of thing? Like for me, it was, oh, I want to find people my age that are going through similar things that can kind of relate to me. And so I started there first. I was like online. I was like looking at social media. I was like, oh, wow, like she seems my age and she likes the same things that I do. And it kind of grew from there, right? But like also remember, like, what is your capacity for meeting new people? Like, are you ready to meet new people? Are you still in a grieving process? What kind of things do you need mentally and physically? What do you need to be able to meet community at where you're at, right? Um, what are your barriers? Like, and what is your preferred method of interacting? Not everybody's going to be that person that just gets out there and starts talking to everyone. Like, I know I was intimidated at first. I didn't know anything about being disabled. And I was like, I have no idea if I could relate to these people. Like, I've never been around this many disabled people in my life. Like, I had so many things going on in my mind. Okay. And so, what are some of your barriers, both mentally, physically? And what can you do? What is your preferred way of interacting, whether that be online, whether that be in person, whether that be just in the background and just listening in. So after you kind of think about what you want, what you're thinking that you can do, go find your people, like be proactive about it, right? Go find people, join different things. And that's easier said than done. Like I said, for me, my initial way was online, interacting with people my age, similar injury on social media. I was kind of sliding into their DMs, I guess you could say. And then we have to remember social media can be both positive and negative, right? Um, Connect, learn, stay curious, but also be safe. Don't compare yourself and limit consumption to protect your mental health. Okay. And when like I had mentioned before, when I got my driver's license and my accessible van 6 years post injury, that's when I started feeling more comfortable with going out. But at that time, it was 2020 and the world was chaos. So I still found online the best way to engage at that time. I joined sessions like these that aligned with my interests. I joined YouTube lives. I joined virtual support groups. And throughout that, I gained more independence, more confidence. And once the world opened up, I was itching to get out and do more at that time. So, two major events that happened that really made me feel like a part of the community. In 2022, my good friend invited me to join her and two other wheelie girls at the Rolettes Experience in LA. And for those of you who don't know, Wheelchair Dance Summer Camp for Women, that's held every July. I had never traveled with anyone in a wheelchair before, and I've never been in a group with that many wheelchairs ever in my ever. And I was intimidated, but I met so many women my age there, and it was really life-changing for me to meet people and share a non-accessible room with four wheelie girls. She just kind of was like, yeah, come, we have a room, just come in and check it out. And I was like, wow, I can't believe we did that. Four wheelchairs, two beds, and an inaccessible bathroom, but it was the best weekend. I think that one thing that stands out to me there was putting together my bath bench. I had no idea how I was going to do that on my own, but she was like, I got you. We're going to do it. I got you. And she put it together for me. We put it in the tub, and that was one of the insecurities I had was like, how am I going to use the bathroom? And then it's inaccessible. And then I have 3 other girls with me. So I think that was really a life-changing moment there. In 2023, I took it a step further and visited the Abilities Expo in LA for the first time. And once again, intimidated, overwhelmed, but so worth it. I met so many amazing people, organizations, and resources there. Um, with these two experiences, I truly understood what I needed and what I wanted in community. And since then, I've been meeting new people, creating new connections with people, and experiencing this life to the fullest because we really just have one life. And then I think for me, this is a tough one, overcoming barriers, right? Like these are the three main barriers I feel like I dealt with early on in my injury. And even now, I still deal with some of these things. The fear of rejection, right? It's intimidating to join new people, to trust them. Um, you may have low self-esteem or low confidence. For example, when I was creating this presentation, I asked a few people, I was like, what do you think your barriers are to like finding community? And a lot of people said their lack of independence and having to rely on a caregiver to always be there and not having that privacy to just meet new people like they would if they weren't injured. Um, that lack of privacy, not feeling comfortable in their new body, not feeling confident enough in the way that they were dressing because they couldn't put on the cute shoes or do their hair or to go out and stuff. And so a lot of people had mentioned that. Um, I guess, how do we like overcome this, right? This fear of rejection that everybody has, not just disabled people, right? Everybody has fear of rejection, and we all want to belong to some community. Um, I think start small, right? Give yourself some grace. Start small, maybe join an online session like this, and or maybe a live on YouTube and just listen or engage in just the chat. Like that's just a start for you showing up right then and there for yourself, right? You don't know until you try it, right? And you don't know what you don't know. So I think that's super important as well. Um, I think we also have to keep in mind we're not everyone's cup of tea and vice versa. Like not everyone's gonna like us, and we're not gonna like everybody, and that's okay too, right? Um, I think being open-minded and recognizing we all have a disability, but we're all different people, right? We have different upbringings, different views, different likes and dislikes, different ways of doing things, and that's important to remember too. And also, like fear of rejection, not every no is a no. Okay, someone told me this, and it really stuck with me. A no can be a not yet. So don't take a no for just a no, right? Like maybe it's just not yet. It might not be the right time for that person to engage with you, or it might not be the right time, or maybe that person is going through something else and they're just not ready to you know hang out with you or connect with you, and it's fine. Maybe in a couple years, maybe in a couple months, weeks, you never know, like you could connect with that same person, right? So not every no is a no, it is a not yet, and that's how I approach things now. Accessibility challenges. Yeah, this is a tough one as we all probably need different things, right? If you have a local disability group, ask what they have to offer. Ask how they can help you make things accessible. Maybe you meet some wheelie friends and you ask it if we could just do a simple stroll at the park so you don't have to worry about too much accessibility, right? Accessibility challenges are always going to be tough, regardless, but there are people and like organizations that are willing to address those if you ask for what you need. Limited resources, so lack of transportation, lack of information, um, lack of funds. These are all tricky things to navigate when you're trying to find community. But just because someone is traveling to the Abilities Expo or to the Roulettes doesn't mean that you have to do the same, right? There are different ways to also engage in community, and all of them are valid. I there's like no way I can afford to go every single place every single time with all these people every single time. But social media, keeping in contact with people that way through online, keeping in contact with that way, choosing one or two things that you can do, trying to figure out things if you can do them locally. Um, I think do not be afraid to ask for help. You know, some people might say, no, I don't want to help you, but it's a very minority. And honestly, those people are not your people. If they're not willing to help you, it's fine, move on. Um, there are people willing to help. They will help you somehow. Okay. And I've experienced rejection like that, and it's tough. It's tough to be told no, or hey, like, I don't want to help you. I've literally been told I don't want to. I forgot what they said exactly, but oh, this seems like you need hand holding, and I don't want to hold your hand in this. And I've literally been told that to my face. So I think find people that are willing to help. There are people. Okay. And then strategies for building community. So someone told me if you can't find one, build one. And that stuck with me because in my area, it's very limited resources. We do have some amazing people in the area, but we don't have as many meetups or community events as I would like to see. And I think that this is something that I'm going to be taking on in 2025 is bringing things to my community. Uh, yeah, am I worried about like fear of like not anybody showing up? Sure. You know, but you got to start somewhere. I think share your ideas with others, be proactive, volunteer with organizations, um, set goals. You know, I have goals to create different events throughout the year in my community here locally, and I'm hoping that I can get to them. And I've already started planning with different organizations and have some people on board that are willing to make it happen. And then this is a really important one. It's follow up, like maintain your relationships. You can't expect to be in a community and have it one way. It's a two-way thing, right? Like if you're wanting people to engage with you, you also have to be willing to engage with people. Stay in touch, send a quick hello. Um, hey, how are you doing? Like, oh, I saw you go to wherever they like engage with people, right? Um, this is building community is so important, I think. For me, building community, because I found it, I want other people to come with me, right? So bring people with you. Once you find it, bring people. That's how I got to the Rolex experience. Someone invited me, brought me there, right? And so now every time someone asks, I'm like, sure, I'll tell you. I wanted to do pottery, and I was like, I went and asked a local pottery class, uh, the owner. And I asked her, I was like, hey, I don't know if this is accessible at all, but I want to try it. Can we do it? And we figured it out. And I was like, I'm going to bring a few people with me, you know, and we got to do a little day of pottery. It's it's important. Like once you find out, share with other people, bring other people with you. They want to do it too. They just don't know. And then it's not just disabled people. Bring people that are willing to listen to you too, right? On the left, I did a Move for Mobility campaign with the free wheelchair mission that provides wheelchairs for people overseas that really need them. And one of the classes of physical therapy assistants asked me to come in and really talk about disability with them. And I was like, sure. I brought a Move with Mobility class and I made them do a wheelchair exercise class with me in person in their class. And I showed them these are the things that I have to go through. It's important to build a community outside of just our disability community too. If they're interested, let them come. Bring them with you. I brought my sister to a hand cycling event. She was like, "Wow, this is pretty awesome that you can get on a hand cycle. Can I try it too?" And my sister got on a hand cycle. On the right hand side, I was at the Rolettes experience last year, and I met a Kelly Brush Foundation um, program manager, and she was like, "Hey, do you want to come mountain biking?" And I was like, "What? A quad mountain biking? What are you talking about?" Um, And she was so insistent. And I don't think I ever would have gone, but she was like, no, I'll get you on it. And so that comes to, my other point is push a little bit. People, push in a nice way, right? Be like, hey, I will take you. Let's do it. Let's figure it out together. That little push can go a long way, and people just really want to feel supported. And then meet people where they're at. If they're not ready, they're not ready. You can't don't burn out trying to like build a community, right? Make sure you're taking care of yourself first. And recognize that like some people are not going to join you sometimes, and that's fine. We've all been there where we haven't wanted to socialize with people, but don't be discouraged. You're always going to find people, okay? Um, and then I think for me too, it's it's that fear of rejection and like you're not going to be accepted by everybody that kind of like prevented me from finding community at first. And I want people to like really take that into account. It's okay to go through those emotions too and really figure out why you're feeling that way. But like once you get there, like don't forget that you were at that position before, and then that the person that you meet might be in that position too. So don't give up on people either, right? Sometimes I'm like, oh man, like I'm so glad someone pushed me a little bit harder. And so I was able to go. So have that same compassion that you have for other people, for yourself, and for the people that you meet in the future to bring them along with you. So that's kind of where I know that was a lot, but just a few closing remarks before I share some resources that help me. But learn new things. It's never too late to find community. Whether you're at year one or you're at year 20 or you're at year 50, like we can learn something from every single person. I've learned people that have only been injured 1 year, and I've learned a lot of the things. Like I said, I just celebrated 10 years, but I'm still learning things now from people. Be patient, be kind, show up authentically. Um, like I said, you will find your people. Have compassion, have empathy, and remember everyone's path and circumstances in life are not the same as yours. These two quotes, I guess, that I stumbled across on social media really like hit me because I was going through a lot last year over the summer, and I don't know, I met some amazing people online. And I had never met them in person until I went to the Roulettes experience. I finally met them in person, and I remember just like breaking down and being like, guys, I am having a hard time. I know I'm at the Roulettes experience, but man, I don't feel very confident in myself. And I was like, man, I don't mean to bring down the energy or nag. And I was like, but this is happening in my life and I'm not feeling confident. And those two girls, man, they hype me up, they lift me up. And I like truly I will never like forget how they hype me up. And so remember, like just by being there for someone, just by smiling, just by doing what you're doing in life, you could be changing someone else's life. And that's also community. Um, and then to shout out a few disability organizations, these are the ones that I've been able to um, be in contact with and really engage with. And I think it's important to shout out the ones that have helped you build a community and the ones um, that really are there for you. So um, just to name a few on here, obviously Will With Me Foundation, Rolette's Experience. These are all like national ones. The Kelly Brush Foundation, Live to Roll, Women on Wheels, New York, and Backbones are more virtual. And then if you're into apps, the 10% app, Connecting with Community. And then I'm a big podcast listener, so I love listening to the Accessible Stall podcast and just learning from them. And then specific ones that I love to travel with are Wheel the World and then Wheelchair Traveling. And the ones local to California, NorCal SCI, the Triumph Foundation. And then I'm a board member for the File and Math Center, which is a new nonprofit here locally that provides grants for people with spinal cord injury so that they can return to work. So I think all of these are amazing. And you find there's so many if you just look for it. But lastly, I guess community to me is about creating and celebrating disabled joy. And even in our struggles, there is joy when we are connected. Um, and then, like I said, these are the organizations and groups that have helped me discover community. But I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I hope this conversation gave you a little confidence to connect, to reach out, and to really share with other people that might be struggling or that you may know of. I know we know all of them that we've seen probably locally, that we've seen maybe on Instagram or through social media. You probably know people, but yeah, I just want to say thank you. But if you guys, I know the chat's been popping off, but I can't do the chat and present all at once. But I hope if you guys have any questions for me or anything to add, just let me know.
Well, I'm just gonna pop on really quickly and say so much of your story and your experiences resonated with me as well, Gretchen. I didn't find the wheelchair community until 10 years into my injury. And I didn't even know how badly I needed a friend that I could relate to like that until I actually found the community. And I was like, wow, I've been missing out on this the whole time. You know,
Hmm.
I was so anti-wheelchair, honestly. I was like, I don't need wheel friends. I'm gonna be the token wheelchair user of all my able-bodied friends. I'm gonna pretend like I'm gonna do everything that my able-bodied friends do. And I guess
Hmm.
I didn't know how I was limiting myself by not fully embracing that wheel life, right? Um,
Right.
and then I can also relate to being at roulettes and being like, holy crap, that's a lot of wheelchair users. How are we going to get four wheelchair users in a two-bedded hotel room? Where are we going to park them? How are we going to
Yes.
get in the bathroom? And it's such a cool experience to do together, right? Um,
Hmm.
so I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your story because it really resonates with people like me a lot. Um, and I'm just grateful that to know that my journey is not singular because there's not a lot of people who wait that long time and a lot of people get
Right.
scared about that. So I think more people like you or me need to speak up
Mhm.
more and share that and be like, hey, your journey is exactly how it's supposed to be. Own it and just hop into your new identity. Because once I found the community,
Mhm.
it was just like you said, I was like, wow, if these wheelies can do it, I can do it. So let's
Mhm.
go. And it catapulted me to a whole new life that I never knew that I needed. Um, so
Right.
I'm just really grateful for you sharing your experiences and your stories. Um, and that resource list. So I took a screenshot of the resource list, you guys, and I will attach the list in the end of the video. I will try to get as many links to all. I think I should be able to find links for all of those
Yes.
resources.
Mhm.
Um, because most of them I'm super familiar with. So I will get all of the links that Gretchen had kind of recommended for everybody. And if there's other links or resources that you guys are looking for, feel free to reach out to Wheel With Me Foundation. Um, we may not be able to find them, but I have a whole board. I have like 5 or 6 board members that are other wheelies and some physical therapists as well. So if I don't know specifically, then I could always hit up Gretchen or hit up Lindsay or Tanya. You know, we all have people. So don't be scared to ask. If there's something specific that you're looking for, let us know. Let us know. Um, so that was me. I'm gonna stop now and let everyone else give a chance to make comments, questions, share anything else. Let me go through the I think a lot of the comments were just like hype up comments like, oh yeah, me too. And
Mhm.
some Rolettes comments. We all need friends that'll get you out. Let me go through it really quickly.
Yeah, I think also like I think people think that you need to have like 50 friends. It's fine if you have like one or two
Mhm.
people in the community. Like that's okay too, you know? And I think that was kind of where I was like, oh, like, do I need 20 wheelchair friends? Like, yeah, that'd be great. Like we're all friends, but I'm like, I'm good like with these 5 people too. Is like you don't always have to be in a big group of wheelchair people to feel like you're part of community either. And so that's
Sure.
important too.
That's like one of those quality versus quantity things. If those two
Mhm.
people fill you up just as much as 20 people do, save the energy
Yep.
and the Christmas
Yeah.
gifts.
Yes, exactly.
Mika, I saw you turned your camera on. Did you have any thoughts that you wanted to share with us today? Or Lindsay? Sorry, Lindsay, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, so another thing, Gretchen and I actually first met, quote unquote, because we did a research, we were part of a research study where we were doing like a group workout thing. So that's another thing to maybe think about for just adding to the resources, like getting involved in a study for people with spinal cord injuries or joining an adaptive sport, like you said, the biking and stuff, but like those are can be other kind of like, because being a part of a study was kind of cool too, because we could
Right.
kind of learn about exercise and whatever. So I just wanted to add that because that's how Gretchen and I ended up actually first connecting, and then we turned out we had tons of mutual friends and stuff. But
Yeah.
I took
and then
notes.
one other thing, I think I just wanted to say is when I was first injured, I feel like I remember the first person I met who was a wheelchair user, and like we connected. But I think it's also helpful to keep meeting more people. Like, don't just meet one person and be like, oh, okay, or like just assume you guys are going to be like besties because you're both in a wheelchair. Like,
Yep.
keep looking and keep going because this person was wonderful, but it was also like there I was like wanting to, there's something else I was kind of looking for. And so I think I was like, it was kind of this I don't know, I had this like assumption we'd be like, oh my gosh, we're gonna like connect about every single thing, and it was like, no, like we have very different types of disabilities. And like, I mean, yeah, so I think that part too, just like, if you have an encounter that wasn't like your favorite, but just keep going, like because you will find your people. And like some people, like you said, like you were sharing earlier, like some people will be your people, some people won't. And also not everyone in a wheelchair will become your bestie, and that's okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing, Lindsay. Tanya, Shamika, Lacey, you guys have anything else you want to add?
I just want to say that I agreed with like all the things you were saying. Like, because I've been in a wheelchair since 2010-ish, but I've had disability, like some sort of disability, like all my life. And I've been in and out of wheelchairs and been more permanent recently. And like going to like the roulette, I mean, being on here has like got me into it and got me connected with people, which then pushed me. And I went to the roulette experience for the first time this past year. And it was just like it was cool seeing people in wheelchairs with all these disabilities, not in a hospital setting. Because it was like that was the only time where I would see that many people together, and it's different being in the hospital when you're going through all, whatever you're going through versus being in an environment where you're having fun and just meeting people and just doing normal things. And so it's yeah, just the community and like you said, seeing people that like I met online, like I was like, "Ooh, Lindsay, you're real," you know, and things like that. So it's great. Like I think like getting and online is a good thing, like you said, to keep in contact. Because you can't always be together physically, but having this community here and things like that and online and Zoom and all that, it's been amazing and it's made the connection stronger, I feel. So yeah, I totally agree with everything you said. So thank you.
Go ahead, Shamika.
I just, wanted to say, with like connecting, like I said, just connecting, um, just online communities have been so important to me, especially, through COVID. And I met so many people online and doing so many different activities. When you were saying, about the Rolettes, I've never been there, but it's on my bucket list to go one of these days. But I had the same feeling when I got connected and I went to Miss Wheelchair Nationals for the first time. And there were all of these women from all over the country, hundreds of women in wheelchairs. It was the first time that I ever been like you said, in a room filled with so many people in wheelchairs. And it was just a great experience. And then online, connecting with people and then meeting some of those people in person, whether it was, taking trips or going to the Abilities Expo, meeting up with people that I've talked with, online. And to me, it's like it's like even though you don't know the people in person, it's like I've known like a lot of them like forever. It's like I've never know all these
So weird.
people and but I've never met any of you. So it's like and so it's kind of weird, but it's you're connected and like you said, you never know who you're going to meet people. I've met a lot of people with disabilities and whatever, but you connect in different ways, like for work, I did a project about building community through pro wrestling. And a lot of people, and it was shocking, like how many people, outside that little community, like even in this wheelchair community and other communities that people were pro wrestling fans and start talking to people about it. And so that was another community and realizing that those communities were also connected to the disability community. Like I met a guy that has been a wrestling magazine writer for years, and his like day job is like a job coach for people with disabilities. And and I found out that this woman who I do like disability awareness training for, her daughter is independent, works in the wrestling independence. And so it's, just the
Yeah.
connections are, just been so interesting, and finding that communities, offline and online, and, other things that I, discovered is like virtual travel. Like I started following a bunch of tour guides on YouTube that do in-person tours and online tours, and connecting with people that way through the virtual travel community. And then in some cases being able to see some of those places in person, and meeting some of those people. So but yeah, just so many different ways, especially with the use of technology to meet people and connect. So.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I have to say, I think all of us on the screen have like a best wheel friend that they've never met in real life. All of mine are from Canada. All the women that I connected with right off the bat, Canadian, never met them in real life. I cannot wait to hug them in person someday. So, well, we are at time. I want to give Lacey. Lacey, did you have anything you wanted to share? If you don't, you don't have to, but I wanted to give you some time just in case you wanted to say anything. If you want to pass, that's okay.
I just want to say, yeah, it's been a great thing to have social media, be able to meet people on
Mhm.
Instagram, Facebook, wherever. Because I live in a small town and we don't have a lot of that interaction here.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm beyond blessed, Lacey, that you found us and that you joined us tonight. You are welcome to connect with any of these beautiful women on the screen. My name right here says Jessie Strongham, but my real name is Brianna, and I will type it in the Brianna, and I will type it in the chat here. You're welcome to find me on the social medias as well. I use Jessie's account for business. I forgot to change my name prior to logging in, but connect with any of us. We all feel it. We all come from small towns, even if we're not in a small town right now. So we all get that vibe. So well, I just want to take a second to thank all of you guys so much for sharing and for engaging tonight, and pouring into everybody. Gretchen shared a beautiful journey, and I honestly, because my story is so similar to hers, I'm just so glad that people like her are coming out. And like, I always thought that you had to like hit the ground rolling right away after injury, right? And that's not always the case for everyone, and that is okay. It doesn't matter if you find community a year later, 3 years later, 10 years later. That is the time for you. So thank you so much, Gretchen, for taking the time to share your story with us tonight. I am beyond excited to continue to collaborate with you in any way, shape, or form that you are looking for. Please reach out to us with any creative ideas that you have, and I will be reaching out to you because I actually have some of my own. I want to thank all of the attendees for coming tonight. I apologize that it was a little bit more intimate, but that again was first, I wanted to keep you ladies safe. I will work on this moving forward to find a way that we can kind of continue to let people in after it starts. So the week is not quite over with yet. We have one more amazing night. If you have not signed up yet, tomorrow night, same time, same place, we have Tony Jacobson, and it's going to be a fun, I bet you he's gonna have music and dancing because that's his vibe. Fun music and dancing, but it's gonna have a nice, fun fitness twist to it. So if you're looking for a way to get energized in your fitness journey and find ways to stay consistent with that for the rest of the year, please pop in tomorrow. He has a whole different way of looking at fitness, and I think that'll be really great for someone who's trying to find something a little more non-traditional. I myself am a little more non-traditional. I strength train because I need to, but I cardio and dance because that's what I love, right? So do things that you love. And so thank you all again for coming. Thank you for accepting me as I am today. And I will see you guys all tomorrow.
Rest up, babe. Take care of
Take
yourselves.
care.
Thank
Yes, have a
you.
great night,
Y'all.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks.